For such a long time, I was unknowingly reinforcing the same pain that I was trying to escape. And what I mean by pain is what eventually turned into chronic pain because I wasn't tending to myself and my body. So I was literally getting in the way of my own healing without knowing it. Because what I know now is that me being a fixer and an overachiever is not what my body needed. It actually needed me to slow down and do the complete opposite, because what got me to experiencing chronic pain was not going to solve me not experiencing chronic pain, if that makes any sense. So all the things that led me up to getting this chronic pain and experiencing this debilitating pain in my body, the numbness, the tingling, the shooting pain, the migraines, the nerve pain, the shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, all the actions that I took unknowingly that got me there, the overextending myself, the overachieving, the not sitting still, the doing too much, in my mind, because that worked so well throughout my younger life, in my mind, I was thinking, I just need to push through. I need to figure out what is going on. I need to YouTube this. I need to Google this. I need to get to the bottom of it. I need to over-research. I need to start talking to people and join groups from people who experience chronic pain to try to get to the root of this. So I was doing all the things, thinking that I was doing the right thing. And in reality, what I really needed to do was the complete opposite, which is to stop, tend to my body, take a mind, body, spirit approach, because that's one of the things that Western medicine doesn't do, is they don't take into account your nervous system, your emotions, your feelings. They just try to really much get to stop the symptoms that you're experiencing. And although that's great, it doesn't actually put an end to it. It just stops it temporarily. And what I was looking for was something permanent, a permanent fix. And so I became overly obsessed with trying to fix myself, not knowing that that was the last thing that I needed to do. Right? I was in the mindset of like, I remember even calling my sister. I was like, I need to get to the bottom of this. I've been watching YouTube videos all day, like Googling all the symptoms I'm getting to see if I could self-diagnose myself, because the doctors cannot seem to know what's going on with me. All the tests that I take keep coming back negative, even though I check all the boxes as far as the symptoms you experience for a diagnosis online, because WebMD. And when I would go to see a specialist and a doctor, I would test negative for these tests, and it was so frustrating because I didn't have an answer about what was going on with me. So I was over-researching. I was doing too much because I am this type of person that when there's a problem, I need to fix it. I need to get to the bottom of it ASAP. I can be very impatient like that. And now looking back, I see that that was working to my detriment and not helping me get out of this chronic pain. So I wasn't really trusting my body. My body was giving me all the signals to just stop and rest and tune into it and see what signals it was giving to me in a way that was communicating to me that I just wasn't used to listening to, because I was always on the go. So I never quieted still enough to actually listen to my body, because it's been talking to me all these years. But because I'm always doing too much and I'm superwoman and I gotta tackle this and tackle that, I was never stopping enough to actually listen to my body. Because at the end of the day, my body was telling me everything that I needed to know. But because I was hyper fixated on solving this problem instead of just stopping, I was getting in my own way of my own healing. And now I know that, looking back. So I was stuck in this cycle of control and perfectionism of like, we got to get to the bottom of it. We got to get to the bottom of it. And I remember my sister telling me, Julie, maybe you need to like turn YouTube off. And I was so hyper obsessed with trying to get a diagnosis, to the point like I even thought I had multiple sclerosis because I checked off every single box when it came to the symptoms. But when I went and got an MRI of my spine and my brain, everything came back normal. So I didn't get the diagnosis. In my mind, I was convinced that this is what I had, because I was like, there's no way that I don't have this. You know, so I was really just looking outside of myself for all the answers, when in fact all the answers were already inside of me. And that's like the crazy part. That's crazy, but not crazy. So the turning point for me came. The turning point came for me when I finally surrendered. And I finally put up the white flag, and I was like, okay, like I had a one-to-one with my body. I was like, okay, I've been trying all the things and nothing's working. So I'm just going to stop. I'm going to surrender, and I'm going to trust that you are going to point me in the right direction, that you are going to give me all the signals that I need for me to get rid of this chronic pain, to get to the bottom of why I am experiencing this chronic pain. And so while I waited for a neurology appointment, which took months, by the way, I had no idea neurologists were booked out for like a year here in New York. No idea, at least the good ones. So I was able to get an appointment with a nurse practitioner in the neurology department at one of these top hospitals in the city. But I had to wait like 2 or 3 months. So in the meantime of that waiting, I was like, okay, what are we doing? Like, we're just going to sit and wait and see what the body has to say to me, what signals it's going to give me, the little breadcrumbs that it's going to give me, so I could start following them on this like yellow brick road. And what I found was fascinating, because I started to get curious about the body, the nervous system, how the body works, how the mind works, meridians in the body, fascia, and just how the body connects to, like, how the organs connect to the nervous system, how the brain works when you're dealing with trauma and suppressed emotions. And because I had heard a lot of talk about how the body turns on you, starts to, or you feel like your body's turning on you through like symptoms of pain, when in reality it's just suppressed emotions. So I started doing a lot of research on that, while still listening to my body and seeing what my body had to say. So I got hyper curious about how you can rewire your brain, how fear works in the body, how anger works in the body, how shame works in the body, how suppressed emotions work throughout the body, how the body reacts to these things. And so I went from I shifted my thinking to what is wrong with me to what is my body trying to tell me. And that was the biggest shift, because it allowed me to surrender and stop, and it allowed me to really have my body lead the way in me getting down to the root of why this was happening to me. And I remember I had a friend or a former boss who was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and I called her because I was just like, she could relate, because there was a point where I thought I had fibromyalgia. And she was like, I know that you are right now going down the deep dive of trying to figure out what's wrong with you, but she goes, you're going to go on your own journey, you're going to go on your own path. But at the end of the day of me having this disease for a decade or more, I've learned that it's just trauma. It's just trauma. And she said that, and this was powerful, because she said to me, when I started facing my trauma, she's like, I've been about 5 years symptom free. So that was a big reality check for me, because it was a reality check, but then it was also like, damn, but I've been dealing with my trauma because I've been on a healing journey for like almost 10 years. So like I thought I was doing the work. But what I came to find out was that once you start to do the work with your trauma, your body starts to recalibrate. You become a new person, you shed, and your body, almost like a transformer, like Tetris, like you're like recalibrating, and you're becoming this new version of yourself. And every time you become this new version of yourself, something else comes to the surface. A new trauma comes to the surface that maybe you suppressed, because that was one of the things that it was one of my coping mechanisms, was avoidance of disassociating with my body so that I didn't have to feel all the shitty things that were happening in my life when I was younger. So I would disassociate, and I never was really present in the moment, which is why a lot of my teenage years and like 20s, I don't really remember. And so what ended up happening was I started to, talk to people who I was close with back then, and a lot of memories started to resurface. And that brought on a lot of this recalibration in my body that triggered this chronic pain. And I didn't know that at the time, but what was happening was everything was shifting inside of me. And so the trauma that I thought I had already tackled and I was good from, there was even more beneath those layers that I had never addressed. And so that was manifesting into chronic pain of all the times that I was overextending myself for everybody, all the times where I wasn't speaking up for myself, all the times where I was a doormat and let people walk all over me because they were family, all the times where I gave in to things I never wanted to do. And I could literally feel my body, especially my shoulders, tense up every time I felt like I was forced to do something that I didn't want to do, but I did it because if I didn't, I was the only person that could help at the time. So I was putting my needs aside to help everybody else, and that was causing a lot of tension in my body, to the point where I had my gallbladder removed in my early 20s. I had severe migraines where I couldn't get out of bed, and I just tossed it up to a bad headache. And I had severe anxiety and depression, and I just thought that was normal. That was just like a bad day. So all these things were happening I was having a lot of gut issues, very painful periods from the time I started having my periods, which led me to have a very high tolerance for pain. So things that were super painful for other people, for me, was just like another day. Like I had my kids without any medication, and they were like 9-10 pound babies, because I was just so used to dealing with a lot of pain, and a lot of, whether that was physical pain or emotional pain, that I kind of trained my body to treat it like any other day. But because I was doing all this healing and things were recalibrating in my body, other things started to resurface from my past that I never dealt with. And because I had forgotten about it, I disassociated from myself, and it was just kind of like woven in like my past, and not brought up to the surface when I was having conversations with people about those years of my life. All of that resurfaced, and it was manifesting in chronic pain because it was trying to escape my body, and I didn't know that. So it was coming up to the surface because it was trying to escape my body. But what I was doing is I was pushing it back down, because I was like, no, what is this? We gotta like yoga this away. We gotta like stretch this away, or like, and it's like, no. So it's funny how the breadcrumbs started leading up to me getting to the root of my chronic pain, getting to the root of my trauma. When I stopped and surrendered, all the answers started coming to me. Like I was starting to feel very tense in my body. because I had had my shoulder surgery and I was having issues with my neck, issues with my hands. It was just a lot going on with my body and a lot of pain happening like with my muscles. And so I wanted to move my body, but I was still very cautious about doing any sort of rigorous type of workouts or weightlifting or anything like that, even though I'm in perimenopause. But because of all the surgeries that I had, I was very cautious about being kind to my body. And so I went on YouTube and I started finding like videos on somatic exercises, which were cool and everything, but I didn't feel like a connection. I tried yoga, and then I stumbled upon like a yin yoga video, and I was like, this is what I've been looking for. I've been looking for these deep, long stretches in my body that allows me to connect to my body and actually feel my emotions. Because when you are someone who disassociates from yourself, you are disassociating from your emotions, and your emotions need somewhere to go. They need to escape. But when you disassociate, you push it back down. And when they rise up, they manifest as chronic pain. And so I was finding such a release in this yin yoga practice that I was like, wow, I could literally feel the energy moving through my body. And it was amazing, right? Which is how I came up with this MBS approach of like mind, body, spirit, which I have heard other people talk about, but the way that I've kind of created this modality is, yes, we're gonna journal to actually allow your emotions to come up to the surface and you actually let them out and release them. But that's not enough. You need to then tend to your body, because in your body is where all of that lives. So although you're actually getting those emotions out and those like the anger, the fear, the shame, you're expressing it, there's still some like crevices living in your body where it needs to be released from the fascia of your body. And fascia is mostly water. And water, what does that store? Memory. And so if you're not actually releasing this trauma from your body, it's going to stay in your body, and it's going to cause havoc with your immune system, with your nervous system, which is why so many people are dealing with autoimmune issues, inflammation, which I had a ton of, which leads to chronic disease. So in my approach, yes, we do the journaling, we get your emotions out, we deal with your emotions, but that's some heavy work. And at the end of the day, you have to do something to release it from your body for that escape to be 100% of an escape, of a release. And that's where the yin yoga comes in, where you're actually connecting with your body, where you're feeling all the things in your body. And some people actually cry during yin yoga because the connection to the body is so intense. And you're listening to your body, you're seeing what feels good in your body, what doesn't feel good in your body, and you're really in tune with yourself. It's like your mind and your body are becoming one, but it doesn't end there. It's also the spirit, which is what? Your nervous system. Because once you start doing all of this healing work, you have to let your nervous system know, because again, your nervous system holds memory. Your nervous system and your brain doesn't know the difference between today and 30 years ago. And so you have to do things in the present moment in your life to let your nervous system know that you are safe. And what does that mean? Slowing down. What does that mean? Being present in the moment. What does that mean? Having boundaries. What does that mean? Being more in tune with how certain people and environments make your body feel, because your body is going to signal to you whether it is safe or not. You ever notice that when a toxic coworker comes next to you, your body tenses up? Or for anybody in a relationship that has run its course but you're still there, and when that person enters the room, the whole energy shifts, your body just transforms into something else where you feel the energy so heavy. It's because your body's talking to you and your body's letting you know, I don't feel safe here. And when we don't feel safe, we tense up. We go into that fight or flight mode, right? Where the cortisol levels increase, and some of us, we start to sweat. Some of us, we get anxious. Some of us, we get angry. Some of us freeze. Some of us can't speak up for ourselves, so we don't do anything because we're frozen. You know, depending on what our go-to is based on our past is what we default to. So we have to train the nervous system to feel safe again. And this is what allowed my pain to decrease. This is what allowed my chronic pain to end. This is what allowed for me to stop feeling the throbbing pain, the shooting pain, the numbness, the tingling, the migraines, the inflammation, the tension, the gut issues, the hand pain, feeling like I was getting electrocuted, the sharp pain. Like, this is what ended all of that from happening, because I was allowing for my emotions to rise up to the surface. I was dealing with them. I was addressing them. I was remembering. I was moving my body so that I could allow all that energy to recalibrate in my body. I was connecting with my body, listening to what made it, what felt safe in the body and what didn't. So I was connecting with my nervous system to see what is it that makes my nervous system feel like it's on fire. And now I need to do the complete opposite of that. This is why a lot of people who try to live the soft life but haven't dealt with their trauma, or don't tune into their nervous system, cannot really appreciate the soft life, is because they haven't done the work. So the soft life feels uncomfortable, the resting feels uncomfortable, the moving slow feels uncomfortable, the speaking your truth feels uncomfortable. You feel bad, you feel guilty when you have boundaries and when you try to maintain your boundaries. You feel bad when you don't answer the phone. You feel bad. But you have to understand that in order for you to end your chronic pain, is you have to stop abandoning yourself. And you have to take a mind, body, spirit approach. Because it is a lifestyle change that you are going to have to experience for not only this, because the MBS method would allow your chronic pain to stop, but in order for this to be your new normal of you living a chronic pain-free life, is you have to have a lifestyle change where you no longer abandon yourself, where you are the main character, where you start to become selfish. It's not really you being selfish, it's you putting yourself first. But it's going to feel like you're being selfish in the beginning, because it's going to take time. It's going to take time for your nervous system to rewire itself, for your nervous system to now understand that you are safe, and that it no longer needs to be on fire, and it no longer needs to shoot out pain into your body. Because now you're no longer suppressing your emotions. You're no longer keeping the peace. You're no longer people pleasing. You're no longer trying to fix everything. You're no longer trying to be a superwoman. You're no longer trying to be there for everyone and not yourself. I'm sorry, I'm just watching like my notes to make sure I didn't miss anything. So I had to give myself permission to rest. I had to give myself permission to feel. I had to give myself permission to be supported. I had to give myself permission to ask for help. I had to give myself permission to delegate and not feel guilty. I had to do all these things to let my nervous system know that I was safe and that I didn't have to carry the load of everything and everyone. These were the things that I had to do. So I want to ask you, like, where is it, or where is it in your life that you're getting in your own way? Like, do you feel safe in your body right now? Like, do you feel like your body's trying to also tell you, like, that something is wrong? Are you fixated on fixing your chronic pain? Because I've been there, where you were so desperate that you just wanted to stop because it's so bad. You can't sleep. You can't do a lot of the things you used to do. So I just want you to really think about where is it that you're getting in the own way of your own healing? Because I've mentioned before that a lot of us who deal with chronic pain are the fixers. We're the go-getters, we're the overachievers, we are the overworkers, we are the save the day, the super women, the ones that get shit done. That's who we are. And so we're used to fixing things. But chronic pain is not something you can fix. It's something you have to lean into. So if you want to go deeper into this and you want to get rid of your chronic pain for good, I have a wait list open for my Return to Self program, and the link is in the bio. If this speaks to you and it feels like it's aligned to you, where we put an end to your chronic pain, but we're doing it through a holistic way. We're doing it through tackling your trauma, connecting to your body, allowing your nervous system to feel safe. For some of us, that's for the first time ever. So that we could start living a soft and joyful life free from chronic pain. So the link is in my bio if this speaks to you. And I would love to support you on this journey, because this is hard work. It's hard work. And it's something that you shouldn't have to go through alone. So that link is in the bio, and I cannot wait to support you. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment, send me a DM. I will be more than happy to chat with you, and I cannot wait to see you on the next live. Bye now.